Strip everything down to image, word, idea. Without narrative, it means nothing. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Welcome to my fully operational Star Wars analysis. This is a fully operational episode 60. I'm talking about Book of Boba Fett Chapter 4. I have entitled this analysis, A Few Scores to Settle. So, I actually have a long list of quotes. The way I watched it was weird, but anyway, I'm trying to get this out in a timely fashion, so I'll let you know that the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 4 is entitled The Gathering Storm. The director is Kevin Tancharoen, or Tancharoen. Kevin Tauntaun. The writer is Jon Favreau, the composer is Joseph Shirley, and the theme composer is Ludwig Göransson, who we really got to hear at the end of the episode in the last couple seconds. So anyway, it originally aired January 19, 2022. I am not giving you the synopsis because that's not what I do. But basically, my prompts for this episode, for this analysis, is going through a bunch of quotes from the episode. So the reason I do that is because to me, story is everything. Narrative is the most important thing. And one of the best ways, or one of the most prominent ways that narrative is conveyed in a story is through dialogue. So, yes, narrative is conveyed through action, and you can have silent scenes or scenes without dialogue that are just showing a character's actions, which tell a story. And that was actually done very effectively in this episode in the modding parlor. But I'll touch on that because everything, all the quotes I grabbed were fun or interesting, and they have little hooks in them that'll lead us to talk about different things in the episode. So I haven't really ranked these episodes as I've gone through them, but after last episode, which was a little bit disappointing to me, I have to say I really did like this episode, and it was a lot stronger. Most of it took place in the past with Tusken Boba, and I liked that. And I think it was bookended. We had Boss Boba, Tusken Boba, an introduction with Boss Boba. The bulk of the episode was Tusken Boba, and then it basically bookended with Boss Boba again preparing for war, which I think that worked really well. So had they done that throughout the show's run, I think I would have liked the structure of the episodes more. But so far, above that, I would have preferred for them to do Tusken Boba for 3 chapters or 4 chapters, and then Boss Boba for however many, for the remainder of the 7-episode run. So, anyway, that being said, all that stuff out of the way, I'll go ahead and share with you my topics, which, like I said, are just quotes from the episode. So, it was really funny. This tickled me. Boba sent off his Bantha, and he told it, no, go out and be in the wild and make baby Banthas, go roam the Dune Sea as you wish, the Dune Sea, rather, as you wish, and I just thought that was fun. It has come to the fore in this episode that Boba really has been transformed by his time with the Sand People, which is what I was conjecturing and what I was drawing from the events of the episodes, but So I like being right, and I like being proven right by the show itself, but it's a little bit frustrating that I kind of had to piece that together, whereas we could have just had it shown to us and told to us earlier on in the show's run without it feeling so forced, or I don't know. It's just, it almost makes me feel goofy for being happy about figuring out, what was going on, and that the theme was family. Yeah. It kind of makes me feel goofy about it, because I thought, oh, this show's about family, isn't it? And then they openly said it here. Fennec Shand declared it, and then they had a conversation about him becoming a Gatra, like the droid Gatra, the crime family or whatever it's called. And now he's setting up his own thing, and it's absolutely explicit that that's exactly what he's doing. But I'll get into that more by talking about other quotes from the episode. So, and most of these are Boba quotes. I think one is Fennec Shand. I'll point that out. So, he's sending away his Bantha, and Fennec Shand asks him, why don't you keep it? And he says, I'll either get it or I'll die, meaning the Slave One, which he calls his Fire Spray Starfighter. I think he said Fire Spray Starfighter in this episode. Or Starfighter, what is it? fire spray ship, I think is what he said. So whatever. I'm not going to belabor this point. I didn't really care. I think it's goofy to not call it Slave One. I think it's goofy to demand that it's called Slave One and protest or whatever that it's not being called Slave One. But what does it mean in the story? Guy needs a ship. He needs a ship to get off planet. And before he gets off planet, he's got, well, it's interesting. He's going to use the ship to get Slave One, to get his armor, and to get back to being who he is. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, that's not really interesting, but his attitude about it is, which is, I'll either get the ship or I'll die, and therefore I won't need the Bantha, and that's why I'm willing to give it up and let it go and let go of this asset. It's pretty cool. You know, he's not afraid to die. He's willing to die for what he believes in, and I guess what he believes in is not being an idiot and, you know, running things well and establishing or setting up a family and becoming part of a tribe. So, speaking of which, he says, I'm tired of working for idiots, and that's part of the reason why he wants to take out Bib Fortuna and become his own guy. And we get to see this played on a little bit later in the episode, which I thought was cool how they set it up, and then we got to see it play, which is, you know, it's appropriate. It's how it should be done, but it's not always done that way, and I was glad to see it handled so deftly, I would say. So, yeah, I like the fact that not only does Boba think he's smart enough, which, I mean, given who Jango was, I think he is, but that he can see through to the fact that if you want to live a long, happy, healthy life, you can't just live this kind of lifestyle, this, you know, bounty hunter lifestyle. You have to move on, and you have to advance, and you have to do something else in order to really make security for yourself. And I like the idea of a person, even a very skilled person who's an amazing operator in the field, whether it be military or, you know, as a bounty hunter or whatever, like coming to terms with the fact that, like, they like being alive. And they want to live a life, and they want it to be more than fighting and fighting and fighting until they die by getting killed, you know, getting their liver cut out in an alley or something like that, God forbid. But, like, the idea that he is more than just the warrior is cool, but it's coupled with the fact that he's willing to die as the warrior, but he wants to be a warrior who lives a peaceful, honorable life, and there's nothing wrong with that. And, I don't know, I like that. I like seeing that side of him, and I don't know if it's 100% because of his time with the Tuskens or not, but it feels like it, and I do like that. So, anyway, he wants to set himself up into a position of power, like one of these families, or as a, you know, head of a family, but he's going to do things in a different way. And so far, throughout the show, we've seen him doing things in a different way, a smarter way, a calmer way, and it was interesting. Fennec Shand tells him that he's gone soft because of how he wants to change things up, and he doesn't really counter that or push back against it. He just says, well, he does, but he's not like angry. He's like, no, I've become stronger. I now know the value of a tribe and the value of cooperation, and it doesn't always have to be, you know, kill to be the top dog. So I appreciate that, because that's true. You can't just do that. Moving on, he says, I was ready to leave hunting behind. He's saying that to Fennec Shand because he basically gets pulled back into it, because after, you know, the failed negotiation, or not really the failed negotiation, the aborted negotiation, because his, you know, Tusken tribe is killed, they can't fight over or they can't secure or exert their rights over the Dead Sea or Dune Sea because they're dead. You know, he was talking about how he was ready to move on to another part of his life. And really, the becoming Boss Boba is just an extension of what Tusken Boba was going to do. He was probably going to become a tribal chieftain there and help lead his band of Tuskens in a new way of life. And that would have been really great for them. But, you know, that was robbed from him. And so he's basically continuing that on, which I think I talked about that in my last analysis, that his plans were interrupted. And then basically he has to pivot and shift. But when he does that, he rebuilds a family, or he builds a new family for himself, and he kind of forges ahead with those plans, despite how he had encountered setbacks to that. So the next thing is, which this I'm going to go ahead and criticize. He grabs that rabbit droid, like the kind that Dooku had, serving him on his solar sailor ship or whatever it was in Attack of the Clones, and we see this style of droid, this bunny droid, in Clone Wars as well, It's a goofy droid. I liked seeing it made practical, or I believe it was a practical model or puppet for the most part. I think I spotted a CG model as well that had like more maneuverability. But I liked seeing the droid, and the little chase with it was, you know, kind of fun and cute, and I liked that. But when he like grabbed it by the throat and pressed against the wall and asked, you know, do you know who I am? I'm Boba Fett. Like that just really did not work for me, and I can understand it not working for a lot of people. It was kind of lame. It was kind of weak. It made Boba look kind of weak and petty. And there was a article that came out that somebody mentioned on YouTube that Tamara Morrison was a little disappointed with how much Boba Fett spoke, and I could definitely see the utility in cutting his lines here. I agree with, I don't know, Favreau and Filoni, I think it was, that said he had to speak more in order to really draw out his character and contextualize him and texturize him. And I mostly agree with that, but just, you know, some things are too far, and like I said, where it makes the character look weak and it takes away from him, that's where it's bad. Removing the mystery and telling us who Boba is and texturing his character more, that's good. The two are mutually exclusive. You can reveal his character. Hold on, I'm not saying that the right way. I don't believe it ruins the character to texture them and add dimensions to them. Does it ruin the mysterious aspect of them? Yeah, I guess it does, because you're getting closer to the character to learn more about them. But does that make them a less good character or less enjoyable character overall? Not for me, because I like the story aspect of it. For the people who enjoy the mystery aspect almost to the exclusion of everything else, like the mystery and the cool factor, then yeah, it does ruin that for them, but that's not what I'm here for. Again, like I say again and again, I'm here for the story. So anyway, but I did think that was weak, and I think it took away from his character, and that's my problem with it. Not that he's talking too much, but he has to say the right things, otherwise it messes up his character, which is true regardless of a character, whether they're steeped in mystery or not. But I'm belaboring the point, so I shall move on now. So, I really liked when, after they're at a certain point where Fennec has helped Boba, he tells her, hey, you're free to go. That was the arrangement you wanted to make. I saved your life, and now you've helped me with this thing. You can go. And he says, I'm gonna ruin my big reveal at the end, which isn't actually a big reveal, so never mind. He says, I have some scores to settle. And she says, I'll go for the ride. I really like that. It shows her to be an interesting character because she, you know, based on honor and loyalty and whatever, she was going to stick with him to settle her debt and get that done with. So she seems like she's a person who doesn't want to have anything held over her, but she's also a person who's willing to take chances and explore and see how she will be benefited by going along with things and feeling out situations. So she's smart, and she's very effective at what she does, and she's not afraid to, you know, find out, or to step into the unknown and find out what's going to happen. So I like that. Smart, clever, opportunistic character who can go in a lot of places. It opens her up, as opposed to if she's always withdrawing and saying no. It's kind of like the improv rule that you don't say no, you say yes and. If a situation comes up and you're not very comfortable with it, you can say yes and, so that you can add things to it to change the situation and alter it to your advantage, as opposed to just saying no and closing yourself off, ironically opening yourself up for attack and for pushback from people that you're around. So anyway, it's just saying yes gives you more flexibility, and I like that she basically yes-anded the situation, because she could have left Boba at that point, you know, and then gone on with her life and separated from him completely, but ultimately she said yes, and it ultimately brought her to the point where she was in Mando Season 2, and then here in Book of Boba Fett, where she's been along with him as a partner, a senior partner in Boss Boba Incorporated. So then he tells her, oh, that's interesting. So there was this weird thing where he said it at least 2 times in the episode, I think in different circumstances, where he complained about not being able to see something out of the cockpit of the Slave One. And then later he's talking about repairs he has to do. I don't think they're repairs to a vid screen. I think there's an actual transparent steel or whatever screen there. So it's not like that's inhibiting his vision. So, like, what is that? Is it because he wasn't fully healed at the time? Had the acid messed up his vision? are they like explaining that he was weaker? Because at the end of the episode, we learn that he's 100% healed, at least on the outside. I think the joke about the scars on the inside that Shan made was about his like emotional scars, not any physical stuff. Because he answers back, those take longer to heal, and I think he is meaning literally like psychological things, not physical stuff. So anyway, kind of odd. But yeah, I thought that I can't see a thing line that got repeated was odd. She accused him of being soft, and he tells her, you can only go so far without a tribe. Again, that's something he learned with the Tuskens, and I really like that. I almost made Without a Tribe the title of this analysis, but I think the thing about the payback or whatever is better. He goes on to say power hates a vacuum, and I guess that was the impetus for him to start the negotiation with the other tribal or crime family people going on in, like, he wants to be the daimyo, the head guy of the crime families on Tatooine, and I guess that line, power hates a vacuum, is about how the Pikes are going to come in and try to fill it and seize control of Tatooine and take its wealth, which I thought there was no wealth on Tatooine, but maybe that's just not for honest, hardworking people, but for, like, crime boss type people running spice or doing whatever enterprises they're going to do. There is, wealth to be gained there, or seized there, I should say. I really thought the bit with, I cannot remember her name, but the Twi'lek lady running that oasis, her talking to Black Chrysanthemum, which I'm going to keep calling him Black Chrysanthemum because that's how I met the character. I don't know if they're trying to drop black to make it more PC or whatever, but I think that's silly because he's literally black furred. That's the dude's name, Black Chrysanthemum. Anyway, and they didn't have a problem with it in the comics, which is a little bit surprising, but they seem to maybe here, or maybe it's just too clunky. I don't know. I don't think it's too clunky. Anyway, I liked how she tried to appease, she pulled the Obi-Wan thing, and Fett had talked about needless bloodshed, and how he was working for so many people who needlessly caused fighting and bloodshed and caused him to put his life at risk, and other bounty hunters as well, and how they don't need to do that. And it was cool to see that carried out by this lady trying to settle Black Chrysanthemum so that he didn't tear this guy's arms off, which she was halfway successful. He pulled off one arm of this Trandoshan, so that was interesting. So going on to the next thing, he tells her it was worth a shot, and it was, and that's kind of what he's trying to do. He's kind of trying to take this other path, this more peaceful path, this path where people can put their differences aside to see how they can all benefit from a situation, or all come away winning a situation, and how that approach to life is going to lead to more prosperous living for everybody, and how that's a good thing, and how that can be achieved through the use of the crime families, the daimyo position that he's taking up, and all those things. So I mean, like, the Tuskens could have fought in wars and wars and wars, but the Tusken clan or tribe that he was a part of wanted to do things differently, and I thought that was good. It's a nice balance that you can have the power and have the might to do certain things, but you want to pull back and have that be your last resort, and your first response should be one of making peace and making things mutually beneficial for you and enemies, would-be enemies, who can become allies instead. So, then he goes to Black Chrysanthemum and goes to get a job. He tells him, looks like you could use a job. So that, and the concept, or the line at the end of money, I think Shan said money hires muscle, or money can buy muscle. Looks like we're going to see Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Black Chrysanthemum, and who knows who else hired to help Boss Boba in his war against the Pikes, because the other families said that they wouldn't join with him and fight a battle. They basically don't want to join him and fight his battle for him when they can stay out of it and let the dust settle. He does ask for them to not turn against him, and he tells Shan that he thinks that they will honor their alliance with him, or at least they'll remain neutral, and they won't side with the Pikes, because they will have motivated self-interest, because they know that the Pikes will try to take over all of Tatooine, and if they let him fight single-handedly, based on what he said, he'll treat them fairly, treat them kindly, treat them gently, basically, not asking for tribute or anything like that. But if he wins, everything will be great for them, and if he loses, but the Pikes are weakened, hopefully it'll put them in a better position to then form an alliance against the Pikes, and maybe even they'll wait till the Pikes gobble up some of the other people or take over their territories and then have a knockdown drag out, and then whoever, to the victor go the spoils, and maybe they're planning on one or two of them teaming up, forming an alliance to take out the Pikes and then split the territory between them, because they're fairly amicable right now, but by holding out and not helping Boba, they could increase their interests and make their situation even better for themselves. So anyway, going on to the last thing, the big quote for the title of the episode is, "I have a few scores to settle." I would have loved, and how many of you would have loved, if the show had just started off in a more linear fashion with him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit and then saying, or thinking, and we could see it by his actions, that he does have a few scores to settle, and then watching him settle those scores. Or even he gets carried aside with the Tuskens, he becomes Tusken Boba for a while, then when that all ends in a chronological fashion in the second or third episode, then we move on to him having a score to settle, him finding Shand, him doing all these things, and then setting it up. I think the linear fashion of it would have been a lot better, and I do want to know from you, like I said, I think at the top, I wanted to mention this if I didn't actually ask it, is this what the show could have been or should have been all along? And basically, what do you think of Chapter 4 of the Book of Boba Fett? So anyway, I'm pretty much out of here. That's pretty much all I have to say, except look out for a TikTok joke or gag I'm going to put out about the guy modifying people. Well, I may as well do it here. I'll do it here. You can get a sneak peek of it here on the podcast, a fully operational, and you can go check out. I may or may not. I don't know I don't know how heavy into the visuals I will go for the joke on TikTok, but here it is. This is about the guy who modified Fennec Shand and saved her life. So this is a play on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and I'll cut this stuff and I'll just keep the audio for the actual gag over there on TikTok. So he sought to see. Sorry, you get the bloopers too. He sought to heal his soul through pursuing the art of mod on a far-off world. But none can escape the harsh twin sons of Tatooine. Now he modifies the lost and heals the hopeless. He is Dr. Wanto's medical modifier. That's it. I don't know if you're going to enjoy that or not, but I thought it was funny. It's a play on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Look it up. I'll maybe even drop a link for it in the show notes. So anyway, check out mgmanews.com for all my stuff. At the bottom of the show notes, where if you find the video version of this, there will be a link to all my stuff over at mgmanews.com where I'm analyzing things. There's a author, artist, analyzer tab up there, or a menu at the top, so you can get into all my art, or all my writing, all my art, and all my analysis. And I'm slowly updating those to make sure they're 100% current. I'll be putting the newest stuff. I'll be tagging the newest stuff so it goes into that filter automatically, but then I'll be working on the backlog so that you can go through and chronologically check out all my stuff. So anyway, go ahead and check that out, and I'd love to hear your feedback. How did you like this episode? And do you think it should have just been linear all along, go from Tusken Boba to Boss Boba, and just have it be like that? Because that's what I would have liked. Anyway, that's it. Take care until next time, folks. Remember, story is everything, and I'm MJ signing off. I leave you with peace and blessings.